Ryan, appreciate you, bro. Oh, go ahead. No, grab the cup.
You didn't want to start the show like that. I mean, like, yeah.
You look like you were surprised to be on the set.
Bro. That shit was comedy, bro. Like, oh, man, I didn't see you there. Hey.
Did you always want to be a writer since a kid?
No, not always. I can't remember not loving to read.
So you've been loving to read since you were a kid?
I can't remember not writing. I was talking to Ta-Nehisi about this, but you remember the paper they used to give us, bro, where it was two big bars and then a middle bar with the dotted lines?
Yeah, of course.
And you had to do the lowercase and uppercase letters.
I'm doing it with my son right now. He's 6.
I remember getting that paper and thinking, man, this is so cool. Like,
really?
I'm gonna write
And the
my
rest
own
of us
letters.
hated it.
So when it was time to write, I always got excited, you know? And I liked music. I used to try to write my own rhymes, like on them papers when we was young. Cause we was in the Bay, and like the Bay had it for it, cause Hammer. Like, Hammer had it, like, in Too Short, you know, so we was trying to write rhymes on that paper. So I remember always doing it. And when it was time to write in class, I would get excited. But I didn't think I was gonna be a writer.
Never.
You know, it came later.
And when did storytelling start coming in your head, like story as a kid too? Because sometimes little kids do like plays and shit in the yard.
Man, that's crazy. I did theater arts in high school.
Oh, so you was in theater?
I was, but I wasn't. Like, I was in the girls, you feel me? Theater arts was like, you know, maybe you get in a play or something and get to do, you know, so I was like, I'll do this. You know, I was really a jock.
Yeah.
I was like passing time. And then I didn't really stick with it like I probably should have. I did it like.
Did you have any fun acting, by the way?
I did. Like, I did, bro. Like when I was in high school and the little plays we would do. But we had a black theater arts teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he was like one of the few black teachers. This dude named Mr. Olivier. So I remember wanting to make him proud. I would like pay attention in his class a little more than in others, if that makes sense. It would be interesting, bro. Like you'll get that feeling of being like outside your body, a little bit. But I wasn't like taking it serious, bro.
At all.
You know, nah.
Your first film out of school was obviously an awesome film, a smash. But like, what were the hardest part of making those early days of filmmaking when you got out of school? Like, you obviously had ideas. You had ideas, you could write them.
Yeah.
You was confident you could direct too, right?
Man, confident. I was young, bro. Like 20, 25, 26. And I had done short films. And enough people liked them. You know what I'm saying? That I would keep getting opportunities. I was confident that I had something. I knew I liked doing it. But I also was like terrified that maybe I didn't. You know, man, I didn't know what I was doing and that I'd blow it.
Do you still have that feeling sometimes? Or are you over that yet?
I wouldn't say I was over it. I have like a better understanding of what that feeling is and like what it means.
Process it better.
Yeah, I understand. Like I come to recognize that a certain bit of that feeling is healthy for me, but not to let it get unhealthy.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like an athlete with the butterfly.
Exactly.
Even pros, before every game, they tell you they get that, but they're not scared or nervous, but they know how to process, like, they're just anxious.
I mean, but maybe they are.
Yeah, but maybe they are.
You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have that feeling, it's maybe time to find something else to do, you know? You know what I mean? Like, cause I couldn't imagine doing this without that feeling.
Yeah.
Cause you care.
Yeah.
It matters to you. That's really what I've come to recognize it as being, is that like, this really matters to me a lot. Like I really wanna do a good job. I would be crushed if I didn't. So yeah, understanding that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still doing this. I'm still in the right place, you know?
For sure.
But I can't let it drive me crazy. Cause like, knowing that from sports, like I've dropped passes like that.
Talk about shit that stay with you. I played football and basketball in high school, you know this. My last game as a senior, I dropped 2 passes, dog.
Yeah.
Out of all the ups and downs I had in my life, I've had mostly good and good shit about my life. My life has been good. I got a great family, great. If I could rewind to go back to that game right now,
that's what you'll do.
I would drop everything and catch those. Yeah. Them 2 passes bothered me. Yeah. Still, it mattered that much to me. Yeah. I remember the 2 passes. Yeah. I remember the yard line.
Yeah, you can smell it.
I can smell it. And I can't believe I dropped the 2 passes.
I had a game like that.
I hadn't dropped one all season.
Yeah, I had a game like that my last season. Not my last, because I played in college, but my last game as a senior in high school, I dropped a touchdown. And like, thank God I had more games
to play.
You know what I mean? But yeah, if that had been my last one, bro, that'd have been tough.
It stayed with me, bro. That shit was.
Yeah.
I'm 42. I was 18 years old.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah. I'm laughing, but it hurts. It hurts a little bit.
I mean, but it's probably a lesson in it. Like you know, it's a lesson. It was a lesson in drops for me, like in every one, you know, and I had plenty.
Do you ever go back and look at films that you made and be like, damn, I wish I could have? You make them and move on.
Yeah, I have to.
You have to.
I don't watch. For me, I'm blessed. All my movies came out in theaters, you know what I'm saying? That I directed. By the time they get released, I've seen it countless times. I've watched it countless times and made adjustments and then. But the other thing that's weird for me, because I'm a writer-director, I've been watching it in my head.
Of course.
Like before anybody even knew about it. Before I pitched it to a studio or an actor, you know, I've been seeing this shit in my dreams, you feel me? So like I'm and each time it's different. Once it's done, like I gotta walk away from it or I'll go crazy.
You know the thing I love about you? You could do it all, but you always bring along everybody. Family, community, Bay, where you from. That sense of commitment to community and things, is that just naturally who you are? Or do you have to think about it, or it just happens?
I come from a big family. I come from a place where family is everything, you know. Like born family and chosen family, whichever way you wanna rock with it. It's you know, where I'm from, loners don't get far. Yeah. You know, in any industry. In this business, bro, as you know, success can alienate you from what got you there.
Yep.
You also got like a lot of people who don't know you, who don't care about you, in your ear telling you how great or bad you are. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, and it's loud, right? You know, you suck. You know what I mean? You a genius. You a hack. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
you fucked that up.
You need to do this. You need to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love when you do this. I love when you do that. You know, and if you don't have people around you who like truly know you, and in my case, people who help me accomplish the things that I've accomplished, you know, I could see you potentially losing yourself or like losing your way.
Yep.
So it's not something that I'm doing like out of altruism. You know what I'm saying? Like if you see me bring somebody with me, it's because, you know, this person matters to me. This person, I trust this person to deliver. For me, it's really about that, I guess.
And you talked about success. You made amazing films.
Thank you, bro.
How do you look at success when you put something out in the world? How do you
man, that's a great question, man.
For you?
That's a great question. Jesus. For me, I'm honestly like obsessed with time.
In what way?
In every way. You know, like as far as creative ventures go, filmmaking takes a while.
Long time.
Especially like we're coming from being an athlete, you know, where you have, you know, in sports, bro, a game take a day. You remember back in high school, summertime, we might play 4 or 5 games in a day.
Exactly.
Hey, you know,
of course.
But even at the highest level, you know, college and then even the pinnacle professional, you playing a game a day.
Yeah.
You know, and you know how you did. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, you got
the scoreboard.
You got the stat sheet. You know, like, you know,
it's in front of
if you even want to break it down to the business level, you got ratings.
Yeah.
This game was rated. You know, at this was.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm prime time now. You feel me? Like,
of course.
You know, I'm a Christmas Day player if I'm hooping now, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like with my business, bro, it take 2-3 years maybe. You know what I'm saying? 5, 6 years, 7 years. You know, and it comes out. And a lot of times, man, if you're releasing it theatrically, it's judged in the weekend.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Weekend.
I done rocked for 4 years through COVID and through, catastrophic, losses, and they gonna tell me how this Joker did Friday night.
Thursday to Sunday.
That's how we tracking, yeah.
And you didn't put your life into it, yeah.
That's the success on like the metric scale, right? And recognizing that, like, time-wise, it's some complicated feelings I'm gonna have there, right? But I'm also obsessed with it in the way of, like, how does the work mature? People might think it's the best thing in the world within a few months of it coming out. But how do they feel about it 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later? Are people still talking about this? Was it ahead of its time? Was it behind the time? You know, like that part of it for me
Matters a lot.
It's fascinating. So what I would say is like my biggest measure of success, bro, is like, does the film stick with the audience?
And do you know that you're gonna do that because when you're watching it, you feel it? How do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, like I can aim at it, you know.
But can you feel something sometimes when you're editing or directing? Because you're so far in it.
The special ones, like the super special ones, like usually with actors, I might see a moment like, wait, I could tell you about a few of them, man. Like Fruitvale, Octavia playing Wanda Johnson, when she gets the call that something's happened to her son. You know, I was having her do a few different things, and she was like, you know, I was young, bro. She was like, hey, let me try one just for me. You know, I'm gonna try this on my own. And she went, and I saw her do it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's going in the movie.
You can feel it right away.
I can see it right away. Angela, in the last Panther movie we did, she did a take it was like in every trailer and every time, you know, like she did a take like which was essentially like a monologue we wrote for her. And I remember thinking, like, I remember watching it, thinking, like, man, holy shit! I was so caught up, I forgot to call cut. The whole crew started clapping, like they was on, like before I even had a chance to call cut. You know, film is done at such a ratio, bro, where a lot of what we do does not make the movie. Even fewer of that makes the trailer. We like the most unlucky gold miners, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's just rock a piece of gold. No. You know what I'm saying? So it's rare timing when you just see that gold nugget, like you ain't even got to shake for it. It's like bam, it's right
it's
there.
Shining, yeah. And you talked about being obsessed with time, and I've heard you talk a lot about timing for things. As a filmmaker, do you think the timing in which you make a film matters the most, or a little bit, or some films so good doesn't matter when they get made and when they come out?
Yeah, I did a talk with Jordan Peele, and we were talking about timing a lot. It's the most important thing, bro. Like, I think it's the most important thing, like, in terms of how a film is received. Two of the best movies ever made came out the same year. Both about aliens. One was E.T., one was John Carpenter's The Thing. And at the time, how audiences received John Carpenter's The Thing, they received it in comparison to E.T. You know what I mean? Which was blockbuster is not the term for what that movie was or what it did. You know what I'm saying? And these two films couldn't have been different. You know what I mean? Like E.T. was about many things, one of them being divorce. And then The Thing was an alien movie that was, you know, in some people's eyes, about the AIDS crisis. Audiences were not ready for The Thing. You know, got bad reviews, didn't make a ton of money. You know what I'm saying? I cannot tell you how often that film is brought up in discussion now, 2024. Anytime you want to talk about practical effects, special effects makeup, suspense, you know what I'm saying, ambiguous endings, all of these things, you know, the film gets remade. They try to reboot it some time back. You know what I mean? I don't know, people may be trying to reboot E.T., I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? But I could tell you that The Thing somehow comes up more. You know what I'm saying? Even though the box office success, commercial success, and even to a certain extent, you know, social and cultural success at E.T. was so dynamic. You know what I mean? It dwarfed this other film so much at the time. You know what I mean?
It's funny, as a E.T. is like one of the biggest brands.
Yeah.
Forget movie, it's a brand.
Oh yeah, it's everything. It's everything.
And The Thing is like wasn't even known or talked about, it just got dwarfed so much.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that until you just said that.
Yeah. But today, if you bring The Thing up, you know what I'm saying? It's as if it was like a hit like E.T. was. Now, that's also a lot of that comes from the timing of VHS.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? People was able to, you know, go to Blockbuster and rent something, have a personal relationship with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how, you know, certain types of films took off. And whereas today you don't have that, right? You know what I'm saying? With streaming, it's a different relationship audiences have with the things that they consume. You know, you think about like VHS time, Blockbuster, you gotta go stand in there. You gotta decide.
Yeah.
Like you can't leave with 20 movies. You know what I'm saying? You gotta sit there and think like, man, which one am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay, or maybe this one and this one.
Yeah.
And then you take the physical thing home. It's sitting in your house. You know what I'm saying? It's there on your desk in your living room when you know what I mean, when you walk by, you pop it in. You know, it was a tactile relationship with it. So I think even timing of films that was released in the VHS era, the DVD era, you know, it's different from films coming out now. But yeah, bro, like just the timing of those films being next to each other, kind of greatly affected things. You know, another film I think about like that is Set It Off. Gary's movie. And I think about that film as being like maybe ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like these four women robbing banks in the Queen Latifah's character. You know what I'm saying? We talk about like LGBTQ representation in police brutality, everything that's being discussed in that film.
Yep.
And maybe that was ahead of its time. If that came on today,
who knows? Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it was big for us when it dropped. But I'm thinking like that movie 10 years later might have been 20 years might have been out of there, like in a different type of way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly what you mean. And you have, I know you have ideas and films in your head. Do you consider that when you like, I have this idea for this film I want to write,
Yeah.
but right now ain't the right time, I may need to wait. Do you consider that as you think about what projects you're gonna pick?
It's not something I ever thought about, but if I continue to make films as I get older, I do think that is something that I have to reckon with, you know? Like, I was fortunate enough to like had a chance to make movies while I was still relatively young. The things that I'm into in terms of taste, you know, it might align with popular taste at the time.
But also, to your point, what you said earlier, the hard thing about making a film is like, if you and I started out on a journey today to make a film, we feel something today, we might be thinking about, but we have to remember, the film people are not gonna see the film for 36 to 40 months.
Yeah, you're trying to hit a moving
target. So shit could change in a big...
Trying to hit a moving target.
Trying to hit a moving target.
And sometimes, like, you don't got no control over what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Man, I've seen people get hit by the pandemic.
For
you know what I'm saying? You're working on a movie and you know, say it's a big movie for people to see in theaters in person. It's not a movie.
Space Jam was that way,
yeah, bro. All the movies they got caught up in that.
Got caught up in that. When we started making that, the world was completely different.
Totally different world. So yeah, bro, that's the thing. Like you have to have an idea that's not gonna go stale on you, you know. And the best ideas are usually like, a lot of times you'll learn that they were like hard sales.
Sales to actors, to studios, to the audience.
To fucking everybody.
To everybody.
Like you'll hear these stories like, bro, you talk to George about Star Wars, bro. Like when he's talking to people like, yeah, it's a spaceman, one dude is furry, and like, you know, he gonna have the sword's gonna be made out of light. And it's the 70s, people like, yeah, okay. Yeah, one guy, he's metal, you know, like Wizard of Oz, like Gold Tin Man. Like, like imagine these pitches, you feel me?
Of course.
They're ahead of the curve, you know, like you know, they can see where people going, maybe, you know. Now, I'm fortunate to come up in the time that I've come up, you know, with incredible trailblazers before, that had a harder road in terms of selling in studios or financiers on the value of our stories, right? I'm like, scratch their shoulders, bro. I feel like I'm standing in their hands and they boosting me. A lot of them still here, you feel me? You know your Spikes, your Johns, rest in peace. You know, and they in the line like from Oscar Michaud and Julie Dash, you know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of like, you know, Gary, and there's so many people before who I think had a harder road in terms of like advocating that these types of stories have obviously a cultural and artistic upside. I don't think that was ever up for debate, but a financial argument. You know what I'm saying? Like that this is value to be had both in the States and internationally.
Yep. Telling
these stories. Because that realization, that opens it up to more than just, you know, the ones that's doing it now. It's gonna be more that's coming up in the future, if that makes sense.
Has it hit you yet that you're somebody's Spike or John, like, coming up now?
I haven't thought about that, bro. that hasn't hit me.
But again, you're kind, so I know when young filmmakers come to you,
Oh yeah,
you will help them with anything.
I mean, the great thing is having a company now, and you know this with SpringHill, you get to like employ people who got aspirations of doing it, and that's been like the biggest blessing, cause like, you know, I don't see myself as being like them guys. I saw Boys in the Hood when I was like 4 years old, you know, Malcolm X. I was about the same age. In the theater with my dad, and I felt like the movies was talking to the both of us at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Him in his 20s, me at 4 years old. So me seeing myself with, you know, even when I was around those guys, they were still, like I felt like I shouldn't have been around them or texting them, or, you know, when I see Spike and he's just like, hey man, what you think of this? I'm doing this, and I still can't believe he knows who I am. You know what I mean? Like, they was always like a great example of how to pay it forward. You know,
sure.
And what they would do was be constantly making things and employing people. You know,
of course, and you get to do that now.
Yeah.
Fans who've got to watch your films see you tell genius stories. I actually think the best version of Ryan is doing this, telling, I can listen to your stories like this.
Right on, bro.
Shoot the shit with you talking, listen to stories. Because it does come with passion, it comes with emotion, it makes me feel something. And anytime I leave a conversation with you, I always have more shit to think about. And that's how I define people I love to talk about.
Man,
so
bro,
thank you for doing this,
bro. Thanks for having me, bro.